Welcome to the Overrated Experience. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin, and this is episode 16, season 2 of the Overrated Experience. It's a sports betting podcast for those who are just joining us for the first time, and we talk about everything under the sun, sports betting. And guess what? You know, I'm learning as we go. You're learning as you go. We're going to put our cards on the table here and tell you we're not experts in any way. We're looking to grow as bettors. But hell, come along for the journey. Come along for the ride. Continue to listen on every episode week to week, and you'll notice that we're focusing not just on all sports. That's not what we're doing right now. We're focusing on the NFL at the moment, even though we got to start the NBA, NHL seasons. So you'll notice we'll probably post 2 podcasts a week. One, which you can still listen to before week 8 begins, and that is the Overrated Experience episode 15, and we focus on the spreads and making picks that way and pick our top 5 out of all the picks we make. And this episode is more to do with props, more to do with over and undies, and I'll give you those plays leading into your week 8 as well. So what am I doing right now? I'm sitting here watching the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Thursday nighter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just scored a touchdown with the 2-point conversion to now move within 6 points of the Buffalo Bills with 2:44 to go. Looks like Tampa has all 3 timeouts. Some of my observations here is, one, I know the new trend here is down by 14 and then you get a touchdown, you go for 2. Even though an extra point, a kicked extra point will leave you back 7 points. I don't know what the analytics is telling you. I know that you're probably thinking if you make it, you're going to be in a position to win the next time down the field if you get that chance. And if you don't, the odds are you'll get at least 1 of 2. I don't know. Like I'd rather kick the extra point, leave it at that, and I'll take my chances that way. So what else is going on? Well, what else is going on is that you have Mike Evans scored the touchdown, but it's only a second completion, pass reception. And I don't know if you can be successful in the long run without making Mike Evans the focal point of your offense, or at least as equal as Godwin as far as the receiving core goes. This division is up for grabs. The Atlanta Falcons lead the NFC South with 4-3 record. The odds are the Bills are going to hang on here, and Tampa is going to be back a game, plus they lost last week to Atlanta. But they're still in here. They have a chance to win the division. And you heard it first here on our season preview with Austin from Ajax that we took a long shot and took Tampa Bay to win this division. Carolina's gone. They're 0-6. Their season's done. And then you have the other contenders out there, Atlanta, Tampa Bay obviously, and New Orleans, who is sketchy at best. So that's my take. The Bills, man, they look like they're not firing on all full cylinders at all. Josh Allen looks great. 2 touchdown passes. Ran for a touchdown. Does have a pick. Maybe left some points on the board. Field position. They've trapped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers deep many times, but they've let them hang around. They should have stomped them. And this game should be over by now. Right now, 2nd and 6, 2:36 to go. Tampa used their first timeout, 2-minute warning. And if you want live play-by-play, Josh Allen under center, takes the ball, hands it off. No, fake, roll out right, and he's going to try to run for it. Dives down, short of the first down, and it should stop the clock. It should keep the clock going, and the Buccaneers will let this run. No, they don't. They call it timeout. And they're not going to let it run down to the 2-minute warning. So they're down to 1 timeout. 1 first down, it's over. So we'll see what happens here. I'll keep you updated and keep you on the edge of your seat, even though you'll be listening to this after the fact. You probably know what happens. Anyway, you can listen to the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. Yes, and I'm segueing and I'm doing a poor job at it. I want you to join us on Twitter. That's what I'm asking. I'm being frank here. I want you to join us at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2 to join us on Twitter. The links to join, to easily join X, are situated in the episode details that you're listening to on your podcast provider. Also, our Instagram and Facebook page links are there. Please check them out. Please follow us. We're trying to make this thing grow and be a success. And I'd like to thank those who have tuned in to the previous episode, episode 15. And as far as from Australia to locally here in Ontario to our friends in the United States, I thank you very much. And it looks like Bill's got a first down. This is pretty much over. 2-minute warning, and then we're going to have a timeout remaining. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made a mistake by calling that timeout. Anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about what we're looking at this weekend, Week 8 in the NFL. If I have my notes, for the 15th time, I've meant to bring my notes from my table to the desk where I'm at doing the podcast. And for the 15th time, I did not do so. I will have to put the headset down live. I'm going to put the headset down, and you're going to hear me walk over and grab my pad of paper. Now, how professional did that sound? Now, I'm in hand with paper and notes and picks ready to go. I hope you have also grabbed your pen and your paper and made sure that you are ready to go here for Week 8. So we're going to kick it off. We're going to talk about some of the props. Not props. No, we're going to kick that off later. I like the props near the end. Over-unders, over-undies. We don't like unders, but, we do got to take them sometimes, so we'll call them undies, tighty-whities. And we're going to kick it off. One of the highlight games at 1 o'clock. Actually, if you look at the full schedules, is it one of the highlight games at 1 o'clock? I don't know. Jacksonville taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the over-under here is 40.5, which I believe is way too low. I do like the way Jacksonville is moving the ball offensively. They're pumping out points. They walked into New Orleans. They held on to a victory. They had no problem moving the ball. Yes, the Steelers come up with big plays, but they're not the same shutdown defense as they once were. They'll give up yards. I don't think, the Trevor Lawrence is going to make the mistakes that other quarterbacks have made against the Steelers. I think they will be able to put up points. And Kenny Pickett has been moving the ball. He looked good against the Rams. He's getting in sync with his receiving core. And I think Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, I think there's going to be some points, at least 40.5. Come on. This is going to be a 24-20 game going into the fourth quarter. I don't see this game staying low. This stuff's going to happen in this game. All right, we move on. Divisional matchup, the Minnesota Vikings. Who are these Vikings, right? Who are the Vikings? The Minnesota Vikings started off the season 0-4. They are now 1 win away from moving back to 500. And just in time for Justin Jefferson to return, not this week, but the following week. And they got the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have not been impressive in any sort of fashion at all. And I can tell you right now, they may be the worst first half team I've seen in a long time. They do nothing in the first half at all. Zero. Nothing. And this is why, for the first time ever, not record it, put it down. The overrated experience is going to take a first half under 20.5. Minnesota, Green Bay. I think Minnesota's going to put up points. I think Minnesota's going to move the ball. But I do believe Green Bay is going to put up zero, like they did last week in Denver, and they didn't put anything on the board to the second half. They play ugly games. I don't see it changing here. So take the under, first half, 20.5, minus 110. Next game, we're going to look at the over-under, and this time we're going to stick to the over. And that is Philly. That is Washington. Last time they met in Philadelphia, this was a high-scoring game that went to overtime. I don't see this changing. For some reason, Washington comes to play against Philadelphia, and I don't think it's going to change here. Philadelphia is moving the ball. They got the weapons, and I think Washington will hang for a bit. 43.5, I think, is right in the sweet spot, but I think to get it done, they move over, and that's the way it's going to be, because I said so. Now, the game of the day, potentially, depending on what you are looking at, is that we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers coming off 2 straight losses on the road on the road, Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol, so it's not even a guarantee that he's going to start this game. And we might have Sam Darnold backing up, coming in to start this one. But I don't think it's going to slow down the points. I think this, there's Darnold's been there long enough this year that it will be a pretty good opportunity for him to use the weapons that are out there in the 49ers offense, minus obviously Deebo Samuel, and put some points on the board and move the ball. And obviously the 49ers are hungry to come back home and start smacking some teams around after a disappointing 2 weeks in a row losing. But you also have the Cincinnati Bengals, who have that miraculous slow start every season. And what happens is they come back and usually make the AFC Championship game for the last couple of years. So if you look at precedent and you look how they've been playing over the last few games, they've decided to make Joey put the ball in the air, find, Jamar Chase and his weapons, and that's what makes this offense go round. They're not a grinding team. They're a team with high-flying talent that needs to put points on the board. So they're going to be putting the ball in the air. The 49ers look susceptible against Minnesota. Their defense wasn't as ferocious. I like the word ferocious. It was not ferocious against the Vikings. Kirk Cousins was able to put up over 300 yards, felt very comfortable in the pocket. So maybe that defense is a little banged up. I know Warner, middle linebacker, was banged up, but he finished the game against Minnesota. Is he fully healthy? I don't know. But they're not scared. They weren't scared in any way. And I got to see that continue. I think Cincinnati will move the ball. Finally, fifth and final pick, the Chicago Bears in Los Angeles to take on the Clippers. Wrong sport. My bad. I was going to take the LA Chargers at home. Yes, when you think of Chargers, you think of Justin Herbert, you think of points. But right now, really, do we? Do we think of points? We look at the Chargers. They kind of went flat against the Chiefs in the second half of last week. They didn't put up much against Dallas the week before. And yes, I do believe they'll grind out a win here. But 46.5 may be the 2022-23 Chargers that we're thinking of. And was it Bajent, whatever the hell his name is, the Bears backup quarterback, now the starter, had a solid game last week against the Raiders. But do you really think he's going to pull out a 300-yard game here? And if you're the Chargers, you have to think that you're going to grab the lead in this game. You're not going to do anything stupid to give it up. And you're going to play field position, get up by a touchdown, 10 points, and then grind this because you need the victory bad. So I like the game to stay under 46.5. That's an undies. All right. How do you like that? An update from the Bills game. It is over. Hail Mary attempt by Baker Mayfield, which was weird. I've never really seen it to look like either 15 guys were dragged down from the offensive side in the end zone, or, the ball just landed, bounced, no fingertips or nothing on the Hail Mary. I don't think I've seen that in a long time where nobody defensively or offensively put any body parts on a football Hail Married into the end zone, which is weird and something you don't see every day. But that's over. Bucks are 3-4. They're going to be chasing Atlanta. The Bills are back on the winning side. I don't know if they're going to catch Miami. I know Miami slowed down a little bit, losing to Philadelphia, but Miami is showing they're the more consistent team. And I just don't know if the Bills are going to be consistent enough to keep up. But we're going to find out. And it's going to start this weekend. And we're going to head into the props. Week 8. Props. I guess I should probably give you my props record leading into this evening or weekend, whatever. Last week, as far as props go, we were 7-3. We were 3-4. We didn't have a good week. We kind of hit and miss, and Tyreek Hill didn't come through for us in the end there in the Sunday nighter. There was a drop ball Yeah, like he was one of the greatest players in the game there, but he had a drop ball that would probably been a 20-yard dash to the end zone that would have got me the yards I needed to get him that prop and would have pushed us over the 500 mark. So not good last week. Hope to recover. And just circling back to the over-under, we actually did really well last week in the over-under. Out of our 5 plays, we had 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 push. So really good there. But we're going to head into the props, which is very interesting. Always interesting. As you got injuries to deal with, situational football, a lot of factors that come into play here. And so we're going to go for 7 props, and we're going to kick it off. The Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown. Receiving yards, 88.5. And he's had 5 games where he's had 100+ yards. He has been on fire. Right? He's been on fire. Last 5 games, 5 straight games of over 100 yards. I don't know if you recall the game against Minnesota where Philadelphia could not be stopped on the ground. He was pissing and moaning to Jalen Hurts to throw me the ball, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as that happened, later in the second half, they were targeting him, and it hasn't stopped. So I don't picture that changing here. A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in football. He's going to put up points. He's going to put up yards. I'm going to stick to the yards, but I mean, even his anytime touchdown is plus 120, and there's a good odds that he's going to be scoring a few touchdowns this weekend. But I'm going to go with the pick is the over 88.5 yards receiving. Next, we have a battle of top picks from last year's draft, and that is C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans visit Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Panthers are terrible. They're awful. The only thing to watch is the development of Bryce Young and the Adam Thielen connection. That's about it. And I got to believe he's going to be pumped for this game. But I do believe C.J. Stroud's going to come to this game also ready to prove himself that he should have been number 1. His passing yards are 239.5. I'm going to go with the over for C.J. Stroud. And why I'm going to go over? Yes, before the bye week, the Texans lost to the New Orleans Saints, and he only had 199 yards passing. But the previous 5 games, he was plus 240 yards or more. So I like the idea of him bouncing back, putting on a show here. Carolina's not going to put up as much of a fight as a New Orleans defense. So 240 yards, I like it. Over. Interesting game of the day. Jets travel to take on the Giants. I say that jokingly, of course. And what do we have here? What do we have in this matchup? We have Tyrod Taylor knocking off the Commanders last week, 14-7, almost knocking off the Bills in another low-scoring event on Sunday Night Football. And then we have the Jets coming off a big win over the... What the hell did they beat last week? The Jets... Did they win? They were on the bye week. That's right, because their whole pictures, if you watched Zach Wilson, people are pissing and moaning because he's taking pictures and vacationing with his girlfriend instead of taking his bye week and focusing on football. Now, this is the part where people go overboard. Do I think Zach Wilson's a douchebag? Yes. I'm not going to blame him for using his bye week to live life. No, he's not snorting coke off a hooker's ass. He's going on a vacation and taking pictures. Who cares? This is where it gets stupid sometimes, where you become a sports fan and then you become a sports irrational person. So it's just over the top. Nothing wrong with taking your bye week and doing what you do with it. That's the whole point. Get away from it, come back fresh. So I support you, Zach Wilson, you douchebag. So Zach Wilson taking on Tyrod Taylor. The Giants are still a fraud. They're better with Tyrod Taylor. I didn't think that would happen, but he's better than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has done nothing, pre-injury. Tyrod Taylor has at least moved the ball downfield and gives them their best chance to win. So I really think there's a debate, even if Daniel Jones is ready to go, that he's not your guy. And that sucks you send him to a big contract because he's not your guy. But in this game, the Jets defense, I think, is going to be way too much for Tyrod Taylor and the pieces of that offense. They're lights out, they're elite defense. there's no joking around with this defense. So I don't think they're going to move the ball at all or get the ball downfield, or he's going to have time to throw. This is going to be a slobber knocker. Okay, the Jets are going to make sure that they do as little in the passing game as they need to and focus on handing the ball to Breece Hall. But that's not where my prop play is going to come in here. Now, what usually happens when an offensive player pisses and moans that they're not a part of the offense, they come into the week planning to target that guy. All right, they're superstars. Dalvin Cook was a superstar that's not playing like a superstar, has come out this week and pissed and moaned that he's not getting enough touches or any focus on the offense. And I think that changes this week, especially in a game where, the Jets are going to want to squeeze out yards any way possible, dunking, little screen passes to the flats, running the ball. Although I think Breece Hall, I was thinking about using Breece Hall as his over rushing yards, but he has, outside of one big game, has a lot of touches, but really has to grind it out. Where I think that, Dalvin Cook's going to have a success is that if you take his receiving and rushing yards, you only have to get over 19.5. And again, I think they're going to target him to shut him up. He's going to break at least one for 15, 16 yards and at least eke out a couple more yards. So I like Dalvin Cook, New York Jets running back, over 19.5 rushing and receiving, minus 115. Minnesota into Green Bay. We talked about how horrible the Packers have been in the first half, but it's Kirk Cousins' world and we just live into it. How do you like that? All right? Kirk Cousins. He's up and down. We watched the documentary about the quarterbacks. He's kind of a unique guy. He looks like a hero one week and then falters another. But he's regular season, MVP. He's a regular season hero, okay? And right now we're in the regular season. He has the weight of the Minnesota Vikings on his shoulders. I think the team is going to allow him to just run and gun. Okay, David Akers has been a nice addition as a secondary running tandem with Madison, but I think Kirk Cousins is going to put the ball in the air here, and I do like him over 250.5 yards, minus 110 over passing yards. Kirk Cousins is going to go to the air, drop, play action, go. How do you like that? Right. And we go back to one of our no-brainers. Yes, Tyreek Hill was asked this week that he may have a hip issue. He declined to acknowledge that he has a problem. I'm going to bank on that he's okay. And his over-under is 89.5. And I think it should be higher. I think there's, Bill Belichick did a great job, I guess, strategizing, game planning last week to take out the Buffalo Bills. And a guy like, Diggs. But it's not happening this week. And again, he did it. He shut down Tyreek Hill in New England. But I think the Heat in Miami, the focal point is going to be Tyreek Hill. And I think he's going to have a few long ones. And he's going to be 100 plus. So that 89.5 to me is a no-brainer at minus 110. Tyreek Hill is your boy. He's my boy too. Now we have a double play here with the Cincinnati-San Francisco game, and that is following the trend of what the Bengals are doing to be successful, and that is throwing the ball. Joey Burrow, throwing the goddamn ball, throwing the pigskin. And who's he going to find? He's going to find 7-Eleven. I'm always open. Jamar Chase, that's it. So I like Joe Burrow here to be over 245.5 yards. And this San Francisco defense is not what it was. All right? Not happening. So, or what it is, they're banged up. And I think it's going to give every opportunity for Joe Burrow to get that ball in the air and hit his various number of weapons, including Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase, you want to win, Cincinnati? You better look on the score sheet and you better look on the stat sheet. And Jamar Chase has 100 plus, 8 to 9 to 10 targets, if not more. You have to make sure to keep the 49ers secondary honest. Let them draw flags. But if they don't, Jamar Chase is going to burn him, right? They're going to burn him. Addison had over 100 yards against the 49ers. Why can't it happen here to one of the more superior receivers in the NFL? A generational receiver in Jamar Chase. Over 83.5. All right, let's recap that. For the props, Philadelphia's Eagles, A.J. Brown over 88.5 receiving yards. Remember, 5 straight games of 100 yards or more so far receiving for A.J. Brown. Houston Texans take on the lonely, disturbing, pathetic Carolina Panthers. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. If C.J. Stroud's going to be hitting yards to prove that he should be number one, all I need him to do is take the over 239.5 passing yards. I think he does that. He's done it the majority of the year already. Dalvin Cook, which you've never heard me with a play so far this year, bitching and moaning to the media about his role in the Jet offense. I'm going to take a flyer that they're going to game plan to give him a few touches to prove that he can do something. He's the Dalvin Cook of the old with Minnesota. So I take over 19.5 yards, total yards, and that is receiving and rushing combined yards. Kirk Cousins, your boy, quarterback, Minnesota Vikings, over 250.5 passing yards, minus 110. No brainer again. You hear this name every week. Tyreek Hill, receiving yards, regardless of the hip, 89.5. He'll smoke that and be over. And then 2 Bengal plays here against the 49ers. I like Joey B, over 245.5 passing yards. Their success is going to be through the air and finding their weapons. Jamar Chase is the biggest weapon that they have, and he's going to go over 83.5 yards, minus 110. So hit us up on Twitter. Follow us. Tell me my picks suck. Tell me they're great. Tell me you're writing them down. Tell me you're writing them down, throwing them in the recycling bin. Whatever you got to tell me. Put it on Twitter. Overrate it. EXPER2. Or Instagram and or Facebook. So it's late. I'm done. Pleasure's all been yours. We are over and we're out. Good luck in week 8. Love you guys. Bye-bye.